Coming up on All About Android, it's me, Jason Howell, and Ron Richards, and it is official. We can stop the presses. Android beats iPhone. Also, Samsung's foldable event. We talk a little bit about that. That's coming up. Ron reviews the AAWireless for Android Auto. Nothing's Something is actually the Ear 1. Android backup is getting even better. A bunch of your feedback and more next on All About Android.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hello and welcome to All About Android, episode 535, recorded on Tuesday, July 27th, 2021. Your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Jason Howell.
And I'm Ron Richards.
Oh yeah, just the two of us tonight.
Welcome back, sir. How was your time off?
It was good. Had a blast with some friends in Oregon and camping and all that kind of stuff. I will say that I discovered far too late that I totally left you guys unprepared for last week's episode. So I apologize.
That was a perfect storm of everyone getting caught up in their own lives, and it's A-okay.
Yeah,
Flo and I had a great time. You couldn't, if you watched last week's show, you had no idea that an hour before the show we had no plan.
An hour before the show, the dock was empty, and you guys were freaking out on WhatsApp.
Oh, I don't think freaking out.
You're right. You weren't freaking out. It wasn't like what the heck?
It was a controlled panic.
Totally.
That's more than freak. It was a controlled panic. But we understood we had a job to do. You weren't here. We had to fill those shoes. And we did, and so much so that Flo decided to take this week off.
Yeah, she's like, I can't handle.
Yeah, she deserves a break as well too. She's on vacation, so we wish her well. And I'm excited, Jason, to do an old school Jason and Ron show.
Yeah,
so it'll be fun. Yeah,
we did this not too long ago, and it was fun.
And what's great is that where we at, like probably about a month ago or so, I feel like we were in the dry spell of Android world. There wasn't a lot of stuff going on, not a lot of news.
Yeah.
But luckily last week, thankfully, when Flo and I had to scramble and put the show together, it was a busy week. And this week too, there's a lot of, not only was it a busy week, but there's some cool stuff that I'm really excited to talk to you about.
Yeah, some threads that you've been waiting for. And before we get into the news, this could totally have been in the news, but we already had a full news, and then I came across the story. So this is like pre-news news.
I did see this when we were doing the news. I was like, do we include this or not?
In fact, do we have breaking news? Yes, exactly.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, Victor. Victor making Burke look bad. Burke's words.
It is.
That was good, Victor. You were like reading our minds. XDA developers posted that they believe they know what the dessert name of this release is, even though Google doesn't do official dessert names for their releases of Android.
As we know, they do, though. They have an internal name, which is the dessert release, from our friend of the show who told us, who works at Google, that is indeed what happens.
Yes,
so
indeed.
It's still a legit dessert name.
It is. And apparently the AOSP commit points to the code name being updated from T to tiramisu. A fantastic dessert, I might add.
I can't say I'm surprised.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. It's delicious. I hear tiramisu. I want to eat it. So therefore, I love you, Android. So there we go. There's not a whole lot to that. I doubt we're going to open every show eating a different tiramisu from Petaluma. I think we'd run out in like 4 episodes. We'd probably run out of options. But I suppose we could try and then do repeats and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see if that happens.
I'll tell you, for years, despite being Italian in the Northeast, Italian American heritage, I have not enjoyed tiramisu up until recently, when my palate has evolved, and now I'm pro tiramisu.
So wait a minute, you didn't enjoy it because you'd had too much of it, or you didn't enjoy it because it just legitimately didn't taste good? And
legitimately didn't like it. There was something about, like, also for years I didn't like coffee ice cream, and now I was getting older. I'm like, oh, coffee ice cream's actually pretty good. It was that same kind of that espresso-y kind of taste that tiramisu has. But now as I'm older, I'm like, ooh, that's nice actually. So
yeah. It is. It is. Delicious. All right. With that deliciousness out of the way, let's get to the news.
All the important Android news folded into one segment. Ooh. Here's Android news.
Ooh, folded in, kind of like phones, kind of like a tiramisu is folded together.
I mean, that's the work of a pro by the name of Victor. So,
It's okay, Burke. It's okay. Let's see here. Well, I thought we would lead with this Samsung's next big event, which is usually big news when it happens. Of course, it hasn't happened yet. So yes, we're talking about the announcement of big news, but not the news itself. That's okay. You need to know about it. Unpacked is the upcoming Samsung event. It happens August 11. So what is that? That's not next week. That's the week after, right? Yeah, that makes sense.
That is the week after. Yep.
7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. Actually, Ron and I are going to be on hand to talk all about it and to cover it live. So if you're doing nothing that morning, bright and early, twit.tv/live, and you can join us as we talk over whatever they're saying.
Very exciting. Been a while since we've done one of those together.
Yeah, totally. It has. And this is a good one to do because I think we're expecting a lot. Now, Samsung teased this with the tagline, "Get ready to unfold," which really doesn't leave a whole lot to the imagination. We knew that at the end of the summer, Samsung's next or fall device announcement has historically been the Note season. But we've also been hearing and talked about many times on the show that the Note isn't necessarily expected to happen, at least this year. I don't know if it's like permanently. We saw the Galaxy S, whatever it is, earlier this year. The Ultra. Why can I not remember? Is it S21 at this point? I've totally lost track. I have vacation brain. That it allows, or it has compatibility for S Pen support. So that kind of seemed like, okay, well, maybe they're moving away from like a dedicated device with just S Pen. We're going to see a little bit of that here from what some of the leaks have been pointing to. The Z Fold 3 is likely to have S Pen support, probably in the same way that the Ultra earlier this month or earlier this year had support. You know, the Ultra had the case with an S Pen inside of the case, not necessarily into the hardware itself. And I'm guessing that's what we're going to see with the Z Fold 2. But it makes perfect sense for one of the folds to have that S Pen support. I think that's, if they're getting rid of the Note or bringing S Pen support to other devices, I think it makes sense for that. Then the Z Flip 3, which is the kind of like more the candy bar, square that turns into a rectangle, normal size phone. And then maybe the S21 Fan Edition, although I feel like I read something earlier today, I didn't put it in the rundown, that said that no, don't expect that. But I think what I'm also very curious about, possibly more curious than anything about, is the Galaxy Watch 4. And I think there's going to be 2 or 3 different versions of the Galaxy Watch 4. But why do I care about this particular wearable? Because Google and Samsung announced earlier this year their combined effort with the new Wear OS going forward. Google has just in the last few days announced the name of it. It's Wear OS 3. Not very creative, but there it is. And so this is going to be kind of like our first introduction to hardware that is created along with this partnership between Google and Samsung. I mean, Samsung is Google's partner. So we're going to see their combined efforts in the OS level. And then we're going to see Samsung really taking everything that it's learned in its wearables that have been pretty successful, comparatively speaking, and, putting it to work on this new effort. So what do you think?
It's a lot. I mean, I don't know. I feel like Samsung in this year of coming out of the pandemic, I feel like of all the manufacturers, Samsung has been the busiest.
Yeah, they have been pretty darn busy. Right? You're right.
Yeah, and that comes from a place of confidence.
Yeah,
and that comes from a place of an established, I was going to say audience, but established customer base. A newly formed partnership with Google on the Wear side. With success in foldables, where people were questioning whether foldables were real or not, or competent. So I'm really curious to see kind of what what the presentation looks like, and as productive as they've been this year, they're laying the groundwork what could be an even stronger 22 when things are even more set to normal and people have more spending money again and all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, I don't know. I think I'm impressed by Samsung and making bold, strong moves at a time when everybody's kind of being more safe.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. Victor, heads up, in the doc at the bottom of this block, I put in a video, rather an Android Authority article that cousin of Ja in the Discord linked us to. Thank you for that, cousin of Ja. But it is leaked promotional footage of the Galaxy Watch 4 that shows the UI in action. So if you scroll down, it'll show you a little like leaked Samsung promo. And so you get kind of a visual sense of what some of the interface will look like, if this does anything for you. But anyways, so yeah, I'm really curious to see what that combined effort looks like. And I believe that I heard or read that the Galaxy Watch 4 is going to come in multiple sizes. So hopefully that means that there will be a size that Flo can get really excited about. And then, of course, the larger size watches that other people, get excited about as well. At least, if that's the case, Samsung is really thinking about everybody and not just dudes with big wrists. But there you go. That's that. We have that to look forward to. I should also point out the Verge article that kind of I linked to in our rundown that talks about Google's announcement of Wear OS 3 as the new name, points out that Google mentioned a very small list of hardware makers who are creating watches who expect, or sorry, let me back up. A very small list, I think Tick watches are a few of them, most of them anyways, of watches that are out now that will expect to be eventually updated to this new Wear OS 3 when it comes out. Point being, you probably don't want to buy an Android Wear watch right now because it's very high likelihood that it's not going to get updated to this new effort, to this new OS. And that would be a real bummer to buy one right now. And then 3 months later, everything's, the future is there and you're not with it. So be forewarned as far as that's concerned.
They can't say we didn't warn them.
Yeah. So there we go. Now, why don't you tell us why Android is so dominant in this world?
That's the thing that I love here. Like one of the things that we love talking about on the show is we love comparing Android to iOS and to iPhones. And there's always Jason, we've been doing this for 10 years, right? It's always been the push-pull between Apple and Android. Oh, yeah. Well, thankfully, somebody has stepped up and has pretty much called a winner in the battle between Android and iPhones. The folks at Electronics Hubs have now declared that Android is the worldwide leader over iOS.
All right, and you might stop playing. Then it's over. It's over.
Yeah, we'll just close it up.
Yep.
You might wonder how they came to this conclusion. Well, they actually used bots and machine and AI and all that fun stuff to analyze Twitter for positive and negative sentiment regarding Android and iPhones. They did a qualitative analysis of 350,000 tweets worldwide and came to the conclusion that 74, United States included, by the way, 74 of 142 countries prefer Android. And the U.S. actually prefers Android over iOS by a narrow margin, 30% Android, 29.03% to Apple. And if you drill down, they've got a great map. They've got a great infographic here that we saw on the website Big Think that covered this. But if you drill down on this, of the 50 U.S. states, 32 states favor Android, where 19 favor Apple. Which is, it scarily starts to look like election maps when you look at this, because it was like California is all iOS, but like the middle of the country is all Android.
Totally. It's really hard to look at this map and not go there. Yeah, the way it's.
But I will say, I was glad to see New York coming in for Android as well, my home state of New York. But and hey, listen, North Dakota, South Dakota holding strong for iOS. 32 32 states in the country favor Android by this analysis. Now, this is a sampling. This isn't every phone user ever, but it does give you a sense of what the market kind of looks like and what the sentiment is. And what I think is interesting is because this doesn't necessarily track phone ownership or usage. It's more around sentiment and how many people do you know have a phone and complain about it. right? Oh, the phone's so slow after the latest update, or it's not working or whatever.
Right.
And so like that easily gets caught up in this. And so I think it's an interesting thing to measure from a qualitative standpoint. But of course, Android wins worldwide. I mean, we know this. That's why we're here every week, right? But
yeah, we're not the ones that need convincing.
What do you think of this sort of analysis? Do you think it holds water? Or?
I don't know. I mean, I suppose, it is qualitative. You know what I mean? Like it's very, when I look at this, I'm kind of like, it's pretty loosey-goosey. Like you're going to just, pull out a number of tweets and make analysis based on it. I guess I kind of get where they're coming from. They sampled the tweets. They saw all of these Android tweets, and here in this part of the world, all of these Android tweets were positive in tone or in the thing, the things that they're expressing versus negative. So therefore, people there must love Android or iOS or whatever. And I don't know. I think it makes a better headline than it actually makes a really good study. Yep. But interesting, I suppose. I guess I'm happy to see that Greenland is Android. That makes a lot of sense to me.
That's good.
I don't know.
No, I mean, I hear Android is big in Greenland. I mean, that's not the first time I've heard it. So.
Makes sense that it would be. So yeah, I don't know how much this really is representative of much of anything, but I like studies like this. It makes Android seem pretty badass, actually.
I mean, it definitely stokes the flames of competition.
It does.
And there's nothing better than positioning one versus the other or that sort of thing. But I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. I thought this. Speaking of interesting, I thought this was very interesting. Android's earthquake warning system. We talked about it on the show a number of times. It's basically the feature on newer Android devices that uses the accelerometer in devices that are like sitting on a table or whatever in an entire region. It, to my understanding, it is able to analyze all of these devices that are just resting there that all encounter kind of a certain type of shaking, via the accelerometer data, and in aggregate, that allows Google to send out a signal to people on their phones to say in advance of like an oncoming earthquake. And so we actually got a test of it. The Philippines experienced a few days ago a 6.7 magnitude earthquake. Many with Android phones in the Tingloy area, I guess, of the Philippines. I hope I'm saying that right. Had at least a few seconds of advance warning before the shaking began. The shaking lasted for 1 minute when it started. One Twitter user said, "I'm super amazed with how on point the phone emergency notification on Android earthquake alert system is. Literally heard the notification, read it, and 10 seconds later, I felt it." So,
that's crazy.
And that's what the system is designed to do. It's designed, and the hope is that it gives people at least some advanced warning so that they can see that notification and they can, do what it says: drop, cover, hold. It also, shows a map, the magnitude of the earthquake. It gives more contextual information about it. But this was a test of the system, and it appears to have worked. So bravo, Google. That's a great feature.
Which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But then also it's the kind of thing where it's great that it gives you a warning, but you've got 10 seconds, right? Like, so yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, look at this. This is like, listen, I'm so glad that the heat in my house keeps me warm, but I'm criticizing the crazy technology that didn't exist 10 years ago, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
But I guess in 10 seconds you can get the safety. So I guess that's the key thing for it.
Yeah. I mean, it's 10 seconds more than you would have had if suddenly an earthquake, strikes very swiftly. I think 10 seconds could, if you have that advanced alert. And I suppose you also kind of need to know, like, when it goes off, like, is the phone all the way over there? And, I wonder what that is. Walk over slowly, pick it up. By the time you're looking at it, it's shaking anyways. So maybe we'll get to a point to where, like, it just starts yelling at you and it says, "Earthquake incoming!" Like, that's the first thing it does, so that you don't even have to, like, wonder, and you can just get right to safety. Maybe that's how they can change it. But still, 10 seconds is better than the 10 seconds we didn't have before this.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just imagine, I've never, like, when I lived in San Francisco, I was never in more than a 3 or 4, Richter scale kind of thing. But like, imagine if there's a major earthquake that hits, and that 10 seconds could be the difference between getting your kid or your dog or whomever to safety. Like, so that's pretty impactful.
Isn't it dogs that are really good at predicting, or like react early to earthquake? Am I making that up?
No, I think there's something about that. I think there's something to that. I'm not sure though. But
I feel like dogs are clued in. Yeah. Dogs have a wider hearing range and better scent detection than humans. Some scientists suggest that dogs can hear seismic activities that precede earthquakes. Gosh, I wouldn't be surprised about that at all. So we just need to implant our dogs with Android devices and get them tied in their own their doggy accelerometer data that fed into the system, and we'll be good to go. All right, coming up next, we're going to check out some hardware. Let's do it. Ron, you've got something on your desk.
Long awaited. For those watching the video stream, you can see me holding the box to the AAWireless device that I finally received.
Very nice.
So for those of you who remember, maybe earlier this year when I was, I moved to the suburbs, got a car, have been exploring Android Auto, and we discovered on Indiegogo the AAWireless project that was that offered to bring wireless connectivity to your car when using Android Auto. Most people who use Android Auto, you need to plug a cable into your car and plug that cable into your phone, and then that enables Android Auto on the display in your car, which is great and really cool, but also frustrating and limiting when you got to get into the car, you got to plug the phone in, you got to plug the phone in the USB port. The phone is tethered to a thing, and it's like, especially for me with kids, they're always pulling the cable and throwing it and stuff like that. So having a wireless option where you just get in the car and it works was extremely attractive to me. So I think I signed up for the Indiegogo back in April, and it was supposed to ship in May or June, and they had some shipping delays. And listen, the folks behind AAWireless did a great job in communicating those shipping delays, and they communicated when mine was shipping, and I got the tracking number so I can expect it and all that sort of stuff. And so it showed up, and I have used it, and I'm here to tell you all about it. So
nice.
It comes in this nice little box, very simple, very simply stated. On the back, there's a QR code that goes right to the app to help with your installation. But it's very minimalist when you open it up. We're going to do a little unboxing here. When you open it up, all you see is the device and a USB cable.
Okay. Piece of cake.
That's all it is.
That's all you need.
Yeah, so USB cable isn't the longest, but honestly, it was longer than I wanted. I actually wanted a shorter USB cable, so because I have a Subaru Forester, and there's a little kind of compartment underneath the screen and everything where the USB cable stuff is, and I just want a short cable that I can just tuck that into and leave it be. But the longer cable's fine. It needs to be flexible. And then the device itself is like a little here, let me grab it. It's just like a little black hockey puck.
Yeah, puck.
Yeah, little puck. You can see there it's got kind of engraved on it the AAWireless logo on it. And then aside from that, it's very, very smooth on the sides. Nothing, no buttons, or there's one button, but nothing really to see. And on the back of it, there is just a USB-C connector, a indicator light to the left of the USB-C cable, and then a reset button that you use a paperclip to hit the reset for. So just super, super simple. All you got to do is you connect the dongle to the USB-C cable, and then you plug the USB-A adapter into your car, and then you install the app. And when you install the app, they do a really good job of walking you through what you need to do. And I thought it would be easier. I did wrestle with it. It took me about 15 minutes to get it installed and all that sort of stuff. When you open up the app for the first time, basically what they do is they walk you through, similar to how, and Jason, you know this, when we install an app sometimes that's using that's kind of like a little left of center, mm-hmm. you need to enable a lot of kind of accessibility settings or things like that. In this particular case, in order for AAWireless to work, you need to enable developer options, not on your phone, but in the Android Auto app. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. So,
that makes sense.
So if you have Android Auto, what you can do is you open up the Android Auto app and you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the screen, and in the serial number or the build number for the app, you tap that 10 times and that unlocks developer options. And then once you unlock developer options, you need to go into the developer options and enable like something like wireless projection or something like that. I forget the exact term, but there was just a simple checkbox that you need to check it. Once you do that, then you're all set to set up. If you don't do that, the thing won't connect, the thing won't work. That's what I got tripped up on. But in the app, they do a great job of doing like the screenshots and showing you step by step. Go here, then do this, then do this. So pretty well designed there. Once you are ready to go, you turn the car on, you plug in the AAWireless device into the USB port. And then the third step is the phone connects, and what it does is it turns on your Wi-Fi and it connects to the AAWireless SSID. So it's almost as if this is connecting to a router, in that sort of way. And that's what's managing the connection. And at that point, then it triggers Android Auto as if you had plugged your phone into the car, and you just use it like you normally do. And that's really it. It's so simple. And it just works. Now that said, I've only had this for 2 days. I just got it in the mail on Sunday. It got delivered on Sunday, and I haven't got any long road trips or anything like that. But I've tooled around town. I've kind of done my short kind of trips and things like that. And leaving it plugged in, the little indicator light is once you connect it for the first time, it's a blinking green light. Once you're connected, it's a steady blue light. And so that's a really great, kind of like I know that it's connected. I know that it's working when I see that blue light. I tucked a little puck in the little cubby hole in my car and I forgot about it. And it just worked. And Android Auto comes up immediately. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to tap anything. My car's awesome. Head unit switched automatically to Android Auto. It was smooth as butter. It was fantastic. It worked great. So now, all positive, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. What are the potential problems? After a day or so of using it, I got spooked because I realized that my car's USB ports always have power.
Okay, that's not good.
Yeah, so
right.
I noticed this when I was walking to throw the trash out, and the garbage can is near where the car is parked in the driveway, and I saw my phone switched from the Wi-Fi router in my house to the AAWireless, like it connected to Android Auto. And I was like, oh, no. And I was like, well, listen, we have one car. My wife uses it to ride the kids around. I cannot risk this battery dying, so let me unplug it and pull it out. So I did that. That was my first kind of gut instinct. And then what happened was I went to the website for AAWireless. They're actually a company called CPEB.et. I don't know how to pronounce what the exact company name is. It's CB and EB. That's what it's called. CP and EB. And in their support and all that sort of stuff, I dug and found, and someone actually said, will my car battery drain by leaving this plugged in if it's always on? And they said that it's designed to be low power. And so essentially it's safe to leave in your car for up to 2 weeks. Like if you leave it in your car, leave it plugged in and don't start your car for 2 weeks, the battery will still be fine. Like it's that long of a time period. And the odds of not starting my car and driving it in 2 weeks is very, very slim. So I feel a lot better about leaving it plugged in and just leaving it in the car. So that's good.
But if you drive to the airport to go away on a 2-week vacation, and then you come back to your car and you expect to drive home,
be warned.
I've had that happen. I've totally had that happen. I think at the end of our Hawaii trip, we got back to the airport and the car battery was dead. It sucks so bad. Yeah, so don't do that. But I wouldn't imagine that device pulls a whole lot of power, but definitely something for people to understand and to know. Because that when that USB port is open, even when the car is off, you might not have any idea, and suddenly your battery's dead. Yep.
So the other concern that I had, or that I thought of, was, and I actually thought about this, and I did some searching. I saw some people talking about it on Reddit a couple of weeks ago, folks who got the device before me. And basically what's happening is that your phone thinks it's connected to Wi-Fi. And what you do run the risk of is if you're on a long road trip, and I haven't had a chance to test this because I haven't driven to Chicago or driven to DC yet, but you potentially could have more battery drain than you would expect when you're in the car and your car is plugged in via cable to Android Auto and charging while you're driving. Right. But in this case, the phone is not charging. It's in your pocket.
Right.
It's completely wireless. And so your phone is operating as if it was a phone connected to the internet. And of course you're connected to the LTE network or things like that. But what I saw some people writing is that they see a lot of like Spotify polling for Wi-Fi. Like the apps do stuff in the background related to Wi-Fi that this potentially could lead to battery drain on your phone. So just one bit of advice that if you're thinking about getting this, keep a cable in your car. That's what I do. I keep it in the glove compartment just as a backup. If you're going on a long drive, just plug the cable in because you don't need the wireless at that point. You want to have your phone be charged and that sort of thing. But just be warned that just because you're plugged into Android Auto via wireless, it does not mean your battery is plugged in at all. So
right.
So that's the little word of warning. But the thing is darn simple. It's smaller than I thought it was going to be. It's low profile. It just snugs right into the car real nicely. And now I don't have to worry about plugging my phone in and use Android Auto seamlessly. So
nice.
So it's pretty cool. So you can go to also the app. Just to touch on this, and those watching the video, Victor, I put in the link to the Google Play Store for the app itself. Once you have the app installed and everything hooked up, there's a ton of settings that let you control the device even closer, right? You can change. In fact, let me pull it up now so I can take a look at it. But you can change some of the settings within your own device so that you're able to. One second, I'm lost. There you go. So you're able to adjust the USB mode. You're able to adjust the pass-through. You can force 2.4 gigahertz, which sometimes a lot of you kind of hardcore Wi-Fi folks and things like that prefer that band over the 5 gigahertz band or that sort of thing. You can set the Wi-Fi connect timeout. So it's all these kind of tweaks and things like that you can adjust to get the app and the device working to your personal settings. Additionally, use the app for over-the-air updates to update the firmware to the device. And then it gives you a status and everything. It's a nice little companion app. So the folks at CP and EB IT did a really cool job with this, and it really solves a problem. I don't know if it's a huge problem, but it solves an inconvenience with Android Auto when you don't have it natively on your head unit. I don't even remember how much it was, but it was affordable. I believe they're still taking orders on Indiegogo.
$75. Does that sound right?
Yes. Yeah, it was $75, and if you order it now, you can get it in October. So so totally worth the money just for the convenience alone. You go to Indiegogo.com and you can search for AAWireless and you can find it there. But they did a great job, so I'm happy with it. Satisfied customer. It's not often I do one of these Indiegogo Kickstarter type things, but I'm glad this one got delivered, works, and is a fun device. So.
Yeah, well, and a lot of people have been anticipating this. It's because newer versions of Android Auto head units and stuff, they do this wirelessly anyways. So if you're in one of those vehicles, it's connecting wirelessly to Android Auto, and if you want to charge, you're plugging it in you're plugging into a cord to charge your phone as you would. So this is the same thing. It's just giving someone with an older head unit or a lesser functioning head unit compared to some of the newer things, that wireless capability. So people are happy, I think, if they're in that position and it's truly inconvenient for them. $75 is really not the end of the world to make a large kind of quality of life impact for when you get into your car and go. So, yeah. Oh, you're muted.
I don't even know how I muted there. Sorry about that. The moment you used Android Auto and complained about the cable, then this is the device for you. This solves that complaint. It just poof, it goes away. So it's definitely worth investing if you have, like you said, you have an older car, you have something where you require that cable. It's not not wireless seamless in that way. It just takes a level of aggravation off your plate. So.
Yeah. 36,937 backers all want this. Maybe you do too.
Can't be wrong.
AAWireless. Thank you, Ron. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm happy it works out for you too, because we've been waiting for that, and I've been really curious to know how it did for you.
It's funny. I feel like ever since we talked about it, I get pinged on Twitter or people have written in like, "What's going on with that? Have you gotten it yet?" and that sort of thing. So I was so glad when it finally came in. I'm like, I can't wait to show this on the show. So
yeah, and that it worked as advertised. So that's good too. All right. So a little news about Nothing. Nothing finally has something. What am I talking about? Yes, the company called Nothing. I'm not just making a poem for you. This is the company that's led by Carl Pei, who is the OnePlus co-founder. He now has this company called Nothing, and we've known for a while now that they were going to put out their first piece of hardware, not a phone, but a pair of true wireless earbuds. And that day is upon us. The Ear One, that's what it's called. The Ear, and then in parentheses, One, the number one, true wireless earbuds. They're $99. So these are pretty, as far as true wireless earbuds are concerned, these are not, bottom of the barrel $39 ones that you find on Amazon, although maybe you'll find these on Amazon when they're for sale. But $99 and $99 with active noise cancellation. So that's a pretty great price for true wireless earbuds with ANC. 3 mics on board. If you're using active noise cancellation, it's going to improve the quality of it, hopefully. But very unique design. It's transparent. The case is transparent. The earbuds themselves are mostly transparent. Not the entire thing is. What goes into your ear is not. It's more of a white plastic, but and white kind of rubbery ear tip. But the they kind of have that AirPods stem look to them that some of the earbuds out there do kind of follow in that stylistic choice. And this is one of them, but they make it see-through. So, it's totally different.
Is it?
Yeah, you couldn't see the air quotes, but they're there. They're implied. 5.7 hours of playback on the earbuds, 34 hours if you include the case. That, of course, goes down if you're using active noise cancellation, cuts the battery down to 4 hours of playback or 24 hours with the case. It does support wireless Qi charging, also has the USB-C port for fast charging, supports Bluetooth 5.2. They're IPX4 water resistant. So here you are. It's everything we've been waiting for from Nothing. What do you think?
I don't know, because on one hand, I like the look of them, and it's got the little dot pick, the pixel kind of wording on the side of it. Like from a design standpoint, it looks good. But I don't know. Maybe I was expecting more, I guess, than just an AirPod knockoff.
Yeah, I mean it's I feel like with true wireless earbuds, they're so small. It's such a small piece of hardware. Like, how can you put out a piece of hardware that's so different from anything else when it's that tiny? You know what I mean?
Right.
I think what they came up with was the whole see-through factor, but I don't know. I kind of don't care.
But yeah, exactly. But who cares, right? Like really, that's the.
At the end of the day, are they comfortable? Are they going to sound really good? These are all questions we don't actually have the answers to yet. Carl Pei said, along with this announcement, that the earbuds, quote, set the tone for our connected digital world to come. I don't know if he's talking about our connected digital world, and that somehow this plays into it, or our as in Nothing's connected digital world, and maybe that alludes to connected home devices or something. It alludes to something at Nothing. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, it's a little underwhelming, but I'm curious to use them and see, kind of the quality, the build quality. OnePlus was really has really hung its hat for most of its phones on just having a really cool, solid design. And build quality is usually pretty top notch on a lot of their phones. So I'm curious to know if that translates and moves over to Nothing.
And I think it will. I think it will which, by the way, it's really hard to talk about a company called Nothing. And it's like it's funny because like one of my favorite like newer bands is also called Nothing, and so it's like doubly confusing because like I had to figure out how to talk about nothing as something. Yeah. In the context of music, like I literally like, and it was so funny was that like actually they're playing in Brooklyn in October, and I got tickets, and they're playing at a venue in Bushwick called Elsewhere.
I was going to say somewhere as a joke, but
I told my wife, I said I got tickets to see Nothing at Elsewhere, and she's like, I know you said words, and I have no idea what any of that means, but
that's amazing though. I love that.
but what's underwhelming for me about it is that like I guess I had high hopes about what Carl and the team at Nothing would do in the space, and yeah, these look cool, and I'm sure they sound good and all this sort of stuff, and if this is the starting point for bridging into the Nothing ecosystem, yeah, I don't know what the value prop is. Like, why do I need this then? Like, why is this any different than any other thing? It feels incomplete. And it almost feels like the reverse of when Essential came out and Essential announced their phone and then teased the Google Home competitor that we never saw. And it was like, okay, but I don't understand, why is that important? Like what you have a plan, clue us into it.
You're right. So. It's totally the reversal. It's like Essential came out with their big device that taps in. This is like Nothing's. No, sorry, something. See, now I'm actually was confused there. I didn't know if the company was something or nothing. But this
You're making something out of nothing.
Yes, I'm totally making something out of nothing. I apologize. But this is their small device that will eventually connect to a larger something. Anyways, okay, we got to stop this. It's too confusing for my brain. It hurts.
Well, so in terms of like cool emerging tech, I thought this was neat. It looks like Android's first magnetic wireless charging is finally coming. I say finally, like I've been waiting for magnetic wireless charging, but still, I think it's pretty cool. Thanks to the Realme Flash and the Mag Dart charger. So as we know, Apple has its MagSafe system for the iPhone 12 range. But this is actually way bulkier, as you can see if you're watching the video. But that bulk means it can charge the phone faster than the MagSafe charger.
It's faster.
It exceeds 15 watts. And Realme is also working on a much slimmer Mag Dart charger, more of a puck approach. And Realme phones to date haven't supported wireless charging. And the Realme Flash is expected to be a flagship with a Snapdragon 888 and likely to be announced next week. So basically, if you got a Realme phone, the Realme Flash is a phone that supports this wireless magnetic charger. And it's interesting because this could be an approach for charging. I mean, I know Android has really, kind of embraced wireless charging and the Qi charging protocol, or Qi, the QI, what I can never pronounce it. Qi, that's what it is. Qi platform. But this could be a good alternative, and this could be, and yes, it's bulky, but it's fast. You snap it in place, it charges, and you're good to go. Do you think magnetic wireless is something that wireless charging is something we can look forward to in other phones, or is just Realme just out there?
I don't know. I feel like I was gone for a couple of weeks, and then I came back, and everyone's talking about MagSafe magnetic chargers or whatever, and I feel really out of step because I'm like, well, is it cool because it like snaps to the phone with the magnet? Is that why it's cool? Because like wireless charging, we already have that, and obviously I totally get it. If there's a wireless, charging pad on the table and I want to set my phone on it, like I better get it right. Otherwise, I'm going to come back, a few hours and realize it didn't charge because it wasn't lined up appropriately. So I guess there's that. But is that why it's so cool on the iPhone and potentially here? I guess I'm still just kind of confused. Like 15 watts doesn't seem very fast for wireless charging compared to what we've seen by other manufacturers in wireless charging, like OnePlus.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Good point. I don't know. But then I'm looking right now, like you can't see it, but I'm looking at this like magnetic charging station for the iPhone where the charging puck is like up in a way that you put your phone on it and kind of, your phone snaps to it, and it's also just like displayed to you. So that just seems to me like a convenience thing. And I don't know how necessary it is. Maybe it's one of those things that once I do it, I'll be like, oh, MagSafe everywhere, magnetic charging everywhere.
Yeah, once you have it, integrated in your setup or like on a desk or whatever it is, and you just snap it in and you have that kind of interface. Because we've seen that before. We've seen like the dropping the phone in a desktop dock to use the phone as a screen while it's charging, and like so that's not really too new from a concept. But
I guess it's the ease of placing it on there and it going.
Yep.
And then it just stays there, and
something about the clicking in place.
Magic there, yeah, clicking in place and not moving. Yeah. Okay. All right. I guess I'm a little more sold on it now than I was 2 minutes ago. Still not totally sold on it though. We'll see. All right. Up next, we're going to talk about some apps.
Sorry, a little itchy trigger finger.
Yeah, I know. You're just like, let's get to these apps. We're running behind. Come on, Jason, move. Let's see here. So there is, as we know in Android, a backup system that is kind of integrated into Android. Standard backup, for when you reboot your phone and it backs up to Google's cloud, or sorry, not reboot, factory wipe your device, or you're setting up a new device. Your backup that's stored in Google's cloud includes a number of things: app data, SMS messages, call history, contacts, device preferences, Wi-Fi networks, passwords, wallpapers, display settings, language, input settings, date and time. That's actually a lot of stuff now that I'm reading it out loud. So that's pretty comprehensive. And boy, has it come a long way, because it used to be such a pain in the butt to set up new devices. So Google, thank you for continuing to enhance the backup system. Well, apparently it's getting even better now with a new backup system, new unified backup system called Backup by Google One. Now, the name would lead you to believe that this is only a backup feature for Google One users. And Google One is Google's kind of subscription-based system. You get extra storage, you get some features like a VPN and stuff, depending on what level you're in. But apparently, at least according to 9 to 5 Google, they say that this is going to work for all Google accounts, not just Google One subscribers. So that's good. What does it add? It does everything that you're used to with your on-device backup, but it also adds photos, it adds videos, it adds MMS messages. I think that one right there is kind of the key.
Yeah, that's huge.
I feel like the photos and videos, I mean, I already backed that stuff up to Google Photos, and I back it up to my NAS storage at home now. So I'm less worried about that. I always just assume that it's backed up at least to Google Photos as the bare minimum. But MMS messages is something that's been, as you know, Ron, has required a separate app in order to do it. And now Google's going to offer this through this. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's funny because I think last week when Flo and I were on, I think the email of the week from Tang, who wrote in, was asking about migrating phones. Basically moving from a Pixel 3 when he's getting ready to go to a Pixel 6. Yeah. And how do we migrate our phones and all this sort of stuff. And this plays right into that. As you're planning on moving phones, this backup not only helps you back up in case anything happens to your phone, you need to restore and that sort of thing, but in that migration and transition system, it just couldn't get. And part of the stuff that Flo and I were saying last week is that Google just progressively gets better at this. So, so this is just the next chapter of that, I suppose. Yeah, and you won't have to wait very long. It's going to be rolling out to, it's already apparently rolling out to devices running Android 8.0 and above. Will be fully available, their infamous over the coming weeks statement. So look forward to that. The only question mark that I have is this question around RCS chat messages, especially now that so many devices, at least here in the US, are going to be defaulting to Android messages to support RCS. All the carriers have basically committed to this in the coming months. What is the backup system for RCS? Because as more and more devices are using it, then that means more of our messaging is there. And by my understanding, this backup system still doesn't touch RCS. And so what happens to those messages? Because people are going to want those messages to move over too. And so I don't know what changes are going to need to be made there. But it's a valid question. It's totally a valid question. So that did happen while you were gone, Jason, by the way, the RCS. I mean, it looks like, it's funny because I thought not to relitigate something we talked about last week, but I thought the RCS battle was down for the count once the consortium fell apart and all stuff like that. But then quietly, all of the carriers just kind of snapped in and got in place, and now the only holdout is Apple.
They were like, you know what? Maybe we'll just let you do it after all, Google.
Yeah, exactly.
we don't want to have to work with each other.
Yeah,
can we just work with you, Google? That could be exactly what it is. Yeah, it's good to see. I would be really curious though to see if Apple comes through somewhere down the line, and with the majority of the major carriers, with the major carriers, at least in the US, all playing ball, that definitely puts more pressure on Apple to support it to some degree.
Yeah, and ultimately it's going to be their users demanding it. Once users figure out what it is and what it can bring them, and hopefully we'll get to unified messaging nirvana. So, so I know last week I was talking about how the Google TV for Chromecast and the Google TV interface keeps popping up in the news. It seems like every other week we're talking about some changes that are happening there. But now there's also changes happening to the Google TV app. If you remember, Google rebranded the Google Play Movies and TV for Android app into Google TV. And what they're doing is that they've got they did a slight redesign to this. And if you haven't used the Google TV app, what they did was they're kind of combining all of the streaming services and all of the platforms where you can watch TV and movies onto one TV app. So you can kind of just like have one central location, even if you're watching Netflix or even if you're watching YouTube or whatever your Disney Plus, whatever your app of choice. But now the new version's got the redesign, and it includes live TV. So it includes new programming from Discovery Plus, Viki, Cartoon Network, PBS Kids, Boomerang, and live TV from, of course, YouTube TV, Philo, and Fubo TV. So interesting. And I just find it fascinating how, Google has a burgeoning streaming TV platform with YouTube TV that they're trying to get. They just rolled out 4K on, and they're trying to get people to adopt and use. But then over at the other end of the building at Google, they've got this Google TV app, which is pulling YouTube TV in as if it was the same as Discovery Plus or PBS Kids or whatever.
Yeah, right.
So, but clearly, like Google wants you to use YouTube TV for your live TV, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it has all the options that these other platforms have. So Google TV is great because it just gives you more options. Find the content you want. There's so many places to find shows and things to watch on now. It's great to have it in one unified spot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, agreed. Nice to see that built out. Sort of speaking about YouTube TV, are you watching the Olympics? And if so, are you watching it on YouTube TV, or what are you watching it on?
I am. So I am watching the Olympics. I am watching it on YouTube TV. I did upgrade to the 4K. I do have Peacock installed and thought about watching it on Peacock, but I don't have the time or the interest in like watching the events live, and like I need to watch all of the skateboarding or all of the swimming or something like that. So I kind of like NBC's primetime coverage where they kind of give you a curated kind of view of it. And so I'm watching it on YouTube TV. So that's my solution.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah,
what do you do?
That's the right way to go. I ended up signing up for the Sling Blue deal, which was basically $10 for the month. They discounted their Blue level, which has all of the channels that are covering the Olympics, and they discounted it from $40 to $10 for. Nice. And so I thought that was a bargain. I was thinking I was going to be dropping, because we don't have a live TV service that we use. About the only time we ever buy into a live streaming service is when the Olympics happen, or when some major sporting event or whatever, that we want to watch live potentially, or be able to DVR it or whatever. And it's always been YouTube TV before, but man, that price has just continued to creep up. Then I saw that Sling was doing their $10, and I was like, okay, well, if it has everything, $10. I mean, I'm finding right now that our life is so busy that we hardly have time to watch it anyway. So I'm really happy that we only spent $10 on it. But
I will say, I don't know if the talking about the YouTube TV 4K expansion. Yeah. I don't know if you've been tracking this, but so they're using the Olympics as a way to push their 4K plus. Okay. It's so remember how YouTube TV price went up, and now it's like $64.99, right? Yeah. so if you want 4K, and I mean, with my Samsung, the Frame TV, it's a 4K TV. Like, I want the best kind of quality I can see. It's an additional $19.99 a month.
Oh my goodness.
So I do not know how much longer I'm going to stick with that. So especially considering how much, like what it actually supports. Like, it's a lot of sports. I don't want, like it's like whether, I don't know if there's enough content to justify that for me. But
yeah, right. Well, I mean, I remember when we were a DirecTV household, and gosh, what were we spending when we were watching DirecTV? I mean, we were paying more than that. What is DirecTV? Is that $100 a month? I can't even remember, but it was expensive. And then at a certain point, it was like, okay, well, we're not really watching much anymore. Why would we spend that? And that's when YouTube TV came along at $39.99. It was like, oh, wow. So, and no contract. That was a biggie for me. It was the no contract thing. Oh, you mean I could just buy it for a month and watch the thing that I want that month and then be done with it? And but now that price has gone back up and everything. So, but what we're realizing also is that a lot of them, if you haven't already exhausted the deals, there are deals to be had. It's like, sign up and you get your first month free or whatever. Yeah. And so you wait for those moments that you need it for just a month, and you can find some way to get it for next to nothing, at least. So at least there's that. And then finally, I just thought I'd bring up the topic that we so love to talk about on this show, YouTube Music, because I've been using it a lot lately, and primarily, I felt on my trip to Oregon. We were the second half of our trip. We were going to this campground, about 3.5 hours south of Bend, Oregon. And I had a really good feeling that there was going to be no internet connectivity there. And we have this little Bose speaker. And I was like, I just want to download a bunch of music because I know we're going to want to listen to music when we're by the water and at the campground and everything. But I don't want to spend all my time like manicuring it and like picking out albums and everything. So I went into YouTube Music and went into the liked playlist, which apparently pulled all of my liked information from Google Play Music over to YouTube, and set that playlist to download. And it was something like 600 and some odd songs. So I was like, okay, that's plenty. Like I would never listen to 600 songs on this trip probably. And I'm really curious to find what I heard there. And it was just one of those moments where I realized like, wait a minute, people probably do this all the time. They're so good at liking their music. Like when they hear something, they like it. And then they set their liked playlist to always be offline. That's a pretty great way to have like music I always want to listen to there because it's the music that I like. I don't know. It was just one of those moments where I felt really out of step because I know I'm not the only person to have ever thought of it, but it was the first time that it occurred to me to do that. And so ever since then, I thought that was so cool because I started listening to, in listening to that playlist, I was like reintroduced to all these songs I'd forgotten about that years ago I had liked. And I was like, oh yeah, I do like that song a lot. Where's that song been for the past like 5 years? And so I got really into listening to that playlist because I was like, man, this is like, I'm rediscovering all this music that over the last 5 or 10 years I was really into and I took the time to like, but I completely forgot that I did it. And so now ever since then, I've been going through all of my uploaded library, all of the albums that on Google Play Music I had added to my library, like their albums through the subscription, but that I added to my library. I've been going through and kind of having just a really great time rediscovering music in my catalog. Maybe this has less to do with YouTube Music, more just to do about music in general, but it's been a really cool experience to go through and be like, oh man, Beck has some really awesome albums. I totally forgot about that. I'm going to listen to this, and like rediscover some of this stuff. And in the process, I'm going through and liking more things to build up that liked playlist. And I don't know, I just thought it was a neat kind of journey, and I guess that's a thumbs up. I like that part of YouTube Music, but yeah.
Interesting. Well, let me can I give you a thumbs down for YouTube Music?
Yes, counterbalance.
For some reason, I don't know about you, but I mean, like the majority of YouTube Music I listen to is via the Google Home.
Yeah.
And it is a distinct and complete different experience than using the web app or using the mobile phone app for some reason, directly in tune with what Google decides to play and what it thinks I want to hear.
Yeah.
So case in point, I was listening to a song by a band called Quicksand, which is one of my favorite bands. They're a post-hardcore band. You know, they have a new album coming out on Epitaph. Like they're, you know, like it's great. I have all their albums. I have all this stuff. I listen to them a lot, right? And so I said, great, play Shovel by Quicksand. And so I was doing the dishes. I was listening to that song. And then the next song was a Frank Sinatra song. Okay.
Wow. What night and day difference, right?
And
there.
the next song was a Louis Prima and Ella Fitzgerald song. And then the next song was a song from Frozen. And then the next song was and it was literally like, it was almost as if like on TV or in the movies when the robots like malfunction. Like just throwing out like whatever. Yeah, it was just like, I was just like, what is going on? And I'm finding its ability to pick up the genre I'm listening to based off the song I'm listening to is really for some reason affected.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's the YouTube Music app on the Google Home, because my thought is that the YouTube Music just would pull the mobile app or pull the service and just feed that to the Google Home. But I think there's a different thing going on that device. So
the first song that you played, was that in your library?
Yes.
And so maybe what it's thinking,
not on YouTube Music.
And it's not on you. So maybe in that regard, well, no, like you probably don't have Frozen in your own library,
I do not.
Right?
I do not.
So maybe at the end of that, it's like instead of it playing more of that genre, it's just playing more like of what you have listened to in the past.
Pick up the genre from the ID3 tag in my library.
That would
be
amazing. But that would make sense.
Like, wouldn't it be able to do? It sees in the metadata that it's the same artist as Quicksand, who it has, you know, in its system. It has 5,000 subscribers.
That's so wildly different to go from that to Sinatra to Frozen, and like who really wants that widespread? I mean, right. No one's looking to mix death metal with Disney soundtrack, you know.
No, yeah, and
not that they are, but I'm, you know, that would happen.
I understand that I'm confusing it because I have kids listening to Frozen all the time, but like it's Google, it's YouTube. It should be smart enough to know that when I'm listening to hardcore, that I don't want to listen to Frozen next, that I don't want to listen to, you know, Peter Pan next. Like it should be able to be smart enough to realize that it's me and not my kid. Like this is the problem with it. This is all mashed in, and don't even get me started on, despite having every setting to not play music videos, it continues to play music videos. So
I haven't had that problem. It keeps my music videos off, thankfully. Yeah. But do you feel like Google Play Music did that, like that same scenario would have done it right? And what is right?
Yes. What is right is playing the appropriate genre or similar bands.
It would have stuck to the genre.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. It would have stuck to the genre, or it would have stuck to the universe of bands. Like almost imagine like there's like a mind map, and like this band is related to this band is related to this band.
Totally. They should have that. Yeah, absolutely.
And I felt like Google Play Music understood that and did a good job with it, more so than YouTube Music.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing that's been irritating me in this whole liking discovery that I've been doing lately is the fact that is just an indication of how separated uploads are from the library. But like we already know that. YouTube made no qualms about the fact that like, oh, we're not integrating your upload library with our thing. They're kept in separate silos and they're completely different. Where that sucks though is as I've been liking things, I realize like, oh, I have this album by Radiohead, let's say, and I'm in my uploads and I thumbs up a few songs. And then if I happen to search for Radiohead and find that album in the library, those likes are not translated. So that like exists over in my uploads, but it doesn't exist in the library, or sorry, in the streaming services version of that album. So if I then thumb it up there, it appears in the likes playlist twice. And isn't that, you know, and just silly things like that. Like, yeah, would it really be that hard? I mean, I'm not a developer, so maybe it is that hard, but that seems, I don't know, this sucks.
Yeah, it just sucks, and that's the thing. And like, I don't know, I'm just frustrated by it. But the thing is, I tell it to play, you know, Beauty and the Beast, and it plays all Disney songs for my kids. So, or play, you know, or you know, 10 in the bed, roll over, and it plays all the so like it doesn't all of a sudden start playing hardcore during the kids' music. So I guess I'd rather have Disney music pop up while I'm listening to my music than my music pop up when they're listening to their music.
Yeah, totally right. Oh, almost asleep. You don't want that. Yeah, and don't even get me started on the fact that YouTube Music is only for 13 and up. Like I can't even set it up with voice match for my kids. The second it knows that it's family link and that it's my kids, then it says you are not allowed to play. So if they're going to their Google Home trying to play something and I have voice match set up, the way I used to be able to do with Google Play Music, so that they could only get music that was kid appropriate and not adult, adult themes or words or whatever. Like you could do it before, you can't do it now. So I have to leave it totally open, which means they hear a lot of things. At this point, we're beyond the point of like policing it. We're like, okay, just know that this is like a song that you listen to here and you don't talk about with your friends, because
well,
like
at least,
I have no alternative. Like, I'm sorry.
At least your kids are of that age. Mine are 2.5. And I will say literally just this morning, well, first off, just even before that, for the past couple of months, they'll want to hear a song. And my daughter will say, play, Let It Go on the Google. And she'll like point towards it, like on the Google. But this morning, we put on a song from Moana for my son because he wanted to hear it. And my daughter just walked up to, I have the Google Home Mini in our bedroom, and she just walked right up to it and went, "Oh, I'm sorry, I did it. I'm sorry." But that was, I apologize to everyone who I just triggered. But sorry. But my daughter just walked up and said, "Okay, G," to the device, and was like cracking up because we're like, how does she know how to do that? Because she hears us doing it.
Yeah,
so it's
totally.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of time.
The kids pick up on it. Yeah, they're right there.
Yeah,
they're going to start throwing commands at that thing. At the point that they can ask Google to tell them a story, that's pretty awesome.
Yep.
if they're figuring it out, teach them that. That'll blow their minds. Yeah. All right. We're going to check out some email up next. Maybe not email, feedback. Because this week we've got an email, we've got a video, and we've got an audio. It's like a trifecta of feedback options.
I will say on the show last week, I did make an impassioned plea to not just write in. I said you can call in, you can send a video. Well, so I'm glad people are responding. That's fantastic.
There you go.
In fact, our first one, Bobby sent a short video about his big and bigger smartwatches. So Victor, let's roll the video.
So a couple weeks ago, Flo was talking about how big watches are. And I've had this Mobvoi for quite a while now. It's very nice, a little bit big on my wrist, but very manageable. Then I got this Optimus Prime 2 or whatever the heck it is. And it's really sort of a watch, but it's really a phone. And I'm not sure if I like it or not. It's nice and big.
It is a lot bigger. Holy cow.
That is, as we say in the business, a chonker.
That is a chonker. Yeah. So
holy cow.
Holy cow is right. Ron. So he called it the Optimus Prime 2. It's the Cospet Prime 2. He wrote in the email. I forgot to include it, but Cospet apparently does have an Optimus model as well. But wow, that is a big watch, especially side by side. When you see them side by side, I'm going, gosh, who wants that larger one? That thing is like, yeah, it's a tablet. it's a round tablet on your wrist. That's unbelievable. Thank you, Bobby, for sending that in.
Like that's like you could watch a movie on that and be totally fine.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to hold my arm up to watch the movie, but yes, you could. In theory, you could definitely do that. Leaf is the emailer. And Leaf says, Jason asked about 5G in different countries, and I took it upon myself to check the speeds on my operator's network, Telenor Norway. I use a OnePlus 8 and tested the speed on 5G and LTE using speedtest.net. As you can see, I forgot the screenshots. That's okay. He describes them. As you can see, I got 714 megabits per second down on 5G, opposed to 388 down on 4G. So that's a big upgrade there. Upload speeds were actually higher on 4G, 61.5 on 4G versus 50 0.1 on 5G. Okay. So they're roughly about the same up. 5G 1 on ping with 26 milliseconds versus 4G with 32 milliseconds. Let's see here. As you can see, 5G is actual 5G here in Norway, although 4G really does satisfy my bandwidth needs, and 5G is as such is redundant. But of course, new is always better. That's why I upgraded from my old OnePlus 6 last year. And I think that's kind of part of it too. This whole 5G question. Awesome that you get those speeds, but it is really hard to put my finger on. Like, obviously, I will always want faster speeds, but I can't really identify the need for faster speed. At this point, I get most everything on my phone, whether I'm connected 5G or 4G, about as fast as I really need to. It's pretty fast. I'm not downloading HD movies on my phone, so I don't need to download 8 gig files in 3 seconds. Like, I have no need for that. So yes, it's great. And when it's everywhere, when 5G is just the way it is and the speeds are up to, to what they promise everywhere, that'll be nice to have. But it's hard to move on the need for now because I don't know. I just haven't really felt the need for it for my use case, but everybody's different. I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny because I have unlimited data, right?
That's
and
nice.
It is nice. And so I don't worry about the amount of data I use, but I also find myself I haven't worried about the speed on my phone.
Yeah. Right.
In years. Like, it's not like, it's taking forever to load.
Yeah.
I'm watching video, I'm streaming audio, like I'm doing all this sort of stuff. I get the alert when I hit it, like, you've done over 3 gig this month, because I'm doing a lot of it, like between podcasts and all stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like the years of being frustrated at the transfer speeds, I feel like are gone. So
yeah, and maybe it's less about downloading. Maybe it's more about services, right? Like if I'm a Stadia fanatic and I've got it on my phone and Stadia supports 5G, I'm going to be really happy that ping time is low and that my data speeds are high and that I can do that on mobile. That's going to be a really great feature for me in that regard. There are probably other examples as well, but so maybe the standard, like I don't need to download, this file faster than I already do. Maybe that's the wrong comparison. Maybe that's just not what 5G is going to excel at. We're just not at the point to where those speeds are matching up with the services or the use cases that kind of align with them yet.
Yep.
Soon.
We'll see. Well, at some point we're going to be downloading holographic video, and that's going to be very large, so we're going to need high data speed. So yeah,
definitely.
So when we're in 3D immersive space, that sort of thing. So yeah. All right. And lastly, for the week, we have our email of the week. That wonderful fanfare that tells you our good friend Dave writes in, and he gets the email of the week. And Dave says, who knew a little bit would drive my brain crazy? Every time the ananana pronunciation bit pops up, I think my brain shorts out and burns a couple of brain cells. The quote AAAA at the end of the ananana for some reason makes me lose it, and I snap at my radio. There ain't no A's on the end of that. Not real word. LOL. See, I told you, Ron broke my brain. It made me crazy enough that I even learned how to make a sound recording to send with this. So my simple mind says either on or onanan. Let's hear what Dave's interpretation of onanana is. So,
okay, it's driving me batty. Got to change the onanana to on or onan.
Onan. I think where you're going, Dave, is that at the end of our onanana, there's always the onanana, it's the that you have a problem with.
Onanana.
And it's got to stop with the
I don't know.
Onanana. As long as that's the end, I think that's Dave's point.
Which is fair. It's valid. But if Dave is a longtime listener or watcher of the show, he knows one thing we like is a very long, drawn out bit.
Yes,
that goes over time
for months and months.
And honestly, I think Ananana with their branding, with the 2 N's and the period at the end of it, we could add in a little na sound to it. I think it's okay. There's some room there. But I will say though, I've seen explosion in terms of reviews praising that TV stick.
Oh yeah, yeah.
People
I've
saying
seen
it's
some
great.
good praise for that as well.
Yeah,
if it's inexpensive and it does the trick and it stands the test of time, those are all the questions, and so far so good. So
yeah,
right on, Dave. Thanks for being it's like a hybrid. You're like our email / audio mail of the week. There we go. All right. It gives us food for thought as we really just take the time to get serious about our pronunciation of onanan. Did I do it right? Onanan. There we go. All right, we are done. That's it. We've reached the end of this episode of All About Android. Flo, we missed you. We look forward to having you back on the show next week. Also looking forward to welcome back to the show, because it's been a couple of years now, Russell Hawley, who now works at CNET. Ooh. So he's going to come on the show. Psyched to get him back. This has been a while. Ron, what do you want to talk about? What did you got going on?
I just realized I'm sorry. If Burke was here, he'd yell at me, but I forgot to put my link in the doc. So there you go, Victor. Yes. So you can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at RonXO. That's where I like to post my nonsense. But if you want to listen to more of me babbling, you can head over to ifanboy.com, where this month on iFanboy Media Explode, me, Josh, and Connor, we went into the mailbag. We answered some questions, some listener emails, and we talked about some of our favorite things like Gossip Girl and Atlantic Crossing and No Sudden Move and Ted Lasso and Schitt's Creek and Dr. Death and stuff like that. So if you're into TV and movie stuff, definitely check it out. Go listen to that. And go to look at the Google Play Store for Scorbit, the mobile app that helps you keep track of your pinball scores that me and my team at Scorbit are working on. Jason, you missed it. I was talking about we just released our big 1.1 release came out. Very exciting. And so, yeah, that came out while you were gone.
Of the app?
The app. The new version of the app. So,
nice.
And I'm continuing to learn how difficult app development is.
I'm sure.
It is very, very hard. But yeah, go play pinball. It's fun.
Right on. Love it. Scorbit.
I will, if we have a moment, if you can indulge me, I will say my favorite thing that we did with it. And Victor, I'm going to give you another link. We made it so that you can, there you go. There's another link in there to my Instagram. We made it so you can easily share your pinball scores to Instagram or to social media. So basically what it is that like so you can take a picture of your score to prove that you got it. But if you look at the bottom portion of it, that is all data from the Scorbit app. Tells you, your username, your score, what game, where you played, the city and state, the date and the time. And it exports this nifty little 1x1 graphic that you can go post on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or whatever. Like, it's one of my favorite features we came up with. And,
love it. That looks really good.
Yeah, it's very cool. So
super cool. Right on.
Yeah, that was my idea. So
well, you had a good idea, Ron. I like your ideas. You get our idea of the week. There we go. That's for you, Ron. Thank you, Victor, for picking that up. And thank you, Victor, for the ones and twos. Appreciate you being back there, helping out. It's good to have you back.
No problem. Although if you're watching the video, my brain broke during that email also. So
I saw that.
It's hard to parse. Yes, we saw. And thank you to Burke, of course, although he's not in here right now. But I will thank Burke because he was setting stuff up too. He's still part of this show, even though he's not on the microphone from time to time. Don't forget Club Twit, twit.tv/Club Twit. All of our shows, no ads. So if you, if you want our shows without all the ads, you can go there, twit.tv/Club Twit. You get an exclusive Twit Plus podcast feed, which we throw a bunch of extra content in each and every week, and a members only Discord channel, which is just so much fun. We have such a blast for that. $7 a month, twit.tv/Club Twit. And you can check it out for yourself and be a part of it. We'd love to see you there. Realize it didn't plug me. I don't have a whole lot to plug, actually. Tech News Weekly coming up this Thursday with Micah Sargent. Next week I'm going to be on This Week in Google. What else? I don't know. I'm throwing random stuff at you. That's all you really need. But that's it for this week. Looking forward to next week's episode to have Flo back and Russell Hawley. We do the show every Tuesday. So every Tuesday evening we record it. Victor will edit it and publish it later in the evening. So twit.tv/AAA is the place to know about. Go there and you can subscribe in all the different ways to the podcast anywhere you choose. And that right there is about it. We'll see you next time on another episode of All About Android. Bye, everybody.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am Ant Pruitt, and I want to tell you about my show, Hands-On Photography, here on Twit TV. Each and every week, Thursday that is, I like to sit down and share with you the best tips and tricks that are going to help make you a better photographer. And it's not always about Photoshop. It's not always about just having the biggest and baddest and bestest camera. It can be the simplest of things like leave your eye open when you're looking through the viewfinder. All of these simple tips can really help step your photography game up. So subscribe to the show today. That's twit.tv/hop. And I look forward to talking to you soon.